Hello and welcome to Jack the Reader, containing reviews of mystery and horror books. Today I'm reviewing Strange Buildings by Uketsu. This is the third in his Strange series. The previous two were Strange Pictures and Strange Houses. Strange Pictures was the first one. As you can see in his very creepy author photo, Uketsu is an anonymous and pseudonymous Japanese author who started out with YouTube videos where he would tell crime and horror puzzle stories in a mask, the mask you just saw. He then progressed into literature with novels. As I said, this is the third Strange Buildings, and the style is an odd mix of straightforward prose and illustrations. When I made a video of this for TikTok, every time I dove into the book to find a quick illustration, I could not find one. Sod's law. So this is going to be easier this time as I have some preparation time. Here you go. Here's an illustration of a ground floor and first floor, if you can see that. I work in a capacity that deals with house plans, is in my day job, and so I've become used to seeing these floor plans with the particular illustrations of the doors and the rooms, so it was a little bit surreal seeing them in this novel. I don't know if you could also see from that shot, but a lot of the dialogue is rendered in a script form. So for example, there you might be able to see it. Their character names in bold, followed by the dialogue. One of the characters is called the author and is basically an insert character for Uketsu. I don't think the name Uketsu is used in any of the books, but I think that you're supposed to assume that it is Uketsu in a sort of meta sense. I'll read you the blurb of this latest one to give you an idea of the content. A lonely hut in the woods, a hidden chamber, a mysterious shrine, a house in flames, a nightmarish prison, ... Each of the buildings in this book tells a chilling story. Each one is part of a puzzle. Look closely, and you'll see that everything is connected, all leading to a terrifying revelation. And then underneath it says, millions of readers have become addicted to solving Uketsu's dark mysteries. Strange Buildings is the strangest and darkest so far. To me, this is the weakest book, although I did enjoy it. My favourite remains Strange Pictures. That one had internet content as part of its plot scheme, and I think that I vibrated with that because, as someone who grew up in the last generation before social media became absolutely dominant, I remember seeing a lot of very strange internet pages in sort of the Wild West days of the internet. For example, there was a blog about people who wished to surgically transform into horses that was supposed to be a non-fictional blog, and just things like the Buffy boards, which was thousands and thousands and thousands of pages by this one person about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or the one that really creeped me out was a YouTube channel where all the videos were solid black, but with audio of distant sounds and children playing in gardens, and the titles were always things like noise pollution caused by inconsiderate neighbours. Basically things that you were never sure whether they were an elaborate inside joke or genuinely the product of someone who was insane. So that's why I enjoyed Strange Houses, along with generally the tone and feel of the book, which felt like an extension of Japanese crime literature. I forget the exact name of it, but there's a subgenre in Japan that feels very connected to the golden age of detective fiction, which was very puzzle-based. And that's through all of the books. That's in Strange Buildings as well. As I said, I did really enjoy Strange Buildings, even though it is the weakest. It's the weakest mostly because the plot is extremely complicated, to a point where I did find it overwhelming towards the end. There are brothels with mysterious secrets. There is a mansion designed purely to kill one of the residents. There is just all kinds of stuff. There's a house where a child committed a murder due to the layout of the house driving them insane. I could go on and on and on and on naming different plot points. It does come together quite neatly in the end. There is an overarching criminal scheme happening, which is fascinating and ties into the real situation in Japan in the 90s and late 80s, where cults, religious cults, became very popular, which ended with with an attack on a Tokyo subway by a cult leader. It was a gas attack of some description, which is mentioned in the book. And yeah, I recommend it. As I said, it is extremely complicated. It's also, when I say the golden age of detective fiction, it's not cozy by any stretch of the imagination. It deals with things like sexual assault and abuse of children, which, if that's going to trigger you, maybe avoid this. But otherwise, if you're into crime fiction and horror fiction, I would say give it a try. And that's Strange Buildings by Uketsu. And soon enough we'll have strange maps. Thank you for watching. This has been Jack the Reader.